Okay, so we're here doing our first podcast episode for the Always Closing podcast. My guest today is Loni P, owner of Casa Bloom Studios, which we're at right now, and Amigas Social Club, and a realtor here in Orange County. So thanks for doing this today.
Thank you.
So funny thing is, this podcast actually started it 2 years ago. And I started it in March 2020. I recorded the first episode of the podcast, and like literally a week later, COVID like just went crazy. And I was like, all right, there's no way I'm gonna be able to meet with any realtors and interview people because they're not gonna want us in their office, you know? So now here we are 2 years later, and I'm starting it back up. So you're episode number 1.
Oh, wow. So perfect timing, yeah. March 2020.
So yeah, just so everybody knows a little bit about you, like I said, you're a realtor here in Orange County. I know you mainly focus here in Santa Ana and surrounding areas.
Yes.
And you seem pretty successful, so I think you would be a good person to interview first. And along with other things that we're going to get into, right? Like Amigas Social Club and Casa Bloom Studios, which we're at right now. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, how did you get into real estate? Did you have family in real estate? Did you just decide to start doing it? What made you get into it?
I kind of fell into real estate by accident. I graduated high school, and one of my girlfriends was working at a broker, and she asked me if I wanted to go work and do receptionist, to be a receptionist. Okay. And I said, sure. I mean, I was looking for a job. I started, and that was about 1 week into it, and then all of a sudden one of the girls called out from processing, and they needed help, so they kind of threw me back there, started working with them, which I thought was only going to be temporary, but one thing led to another, and I just never came back to the front desk. Yeah. I stayed in the back. So yeah, so I started assisting, and then quickly moved up to being a loan processor myself, and then eventually I was the manager for the processing department. So
you were doing loans before you were doing real estate?
Yes, I was doing mortgage. So.
And you didn't like loans? Was that right?
No,
why you decided to get into real estate instead?
No, I loved it. I just had no idea of what that was. I was only like 18 years old. So I started learning really quick, pretty much the process, the terminology. I had no idea what a mortgage was or how to calculate income or none of that stuff. So I got really intrigued with it because, you know, you get to kind of piece together something for someone that's looking to either buy or refinance. And I started picking up a lot of life skills, technically, a lot of the stuff they don't teach you at school, you know, right. All that stuff. So I don't know, I just kind of like fell in love with the whole process, and I just became really good at it. So that's kind of how I started.
A lot of people started that way, you know, like, I think my mom even started the same way. Like, she was selling insurance before, and then she just like needed another job. So she ended up just getting a receptionist job at an escrow company, and then, you know, 30 years later now she has her own escrow company. So she never even knew what escrow was, she said, when she started in escrow. So it's kind of like a similar situation. Yeah. What areas do you focus on? Do you think it's good to like focus on a specific area when you're a realtor, or will you just take on anything no matter where it's at?
Yeah. Well,
what's your kind of process with that?
So I came back into real estate. So I went through like during mortgage through like the highest of the high, and then the recession, and then trying to, you know, after the recession, everything kind of changed, and then
everybody changed industries.
No, I thought about it. Well, yeah. I ended up becoming a stay-at-home mom after that, because it wasn't the same. The money wasn't the same, but it was still the same amount of crazy hours you had to work. And then at that point, I had 2 babies, so stayed home for about 5-6 years. Mm-hmm. And then when I was pregnant with my third, I had the conversation with my husband. I was like, I want to get back into real estate. I just knew I couldn't get back into mortgage because of the schedule and the craziness that happens. I'm sure your mom's familiar with the end of the month craziness. Yeah. And
we just finished that last week.
Yeah.
Or yesterday.
Yeah.
Or even today, right?
Yeah.
Today's the 30th. Yeah.
Today's the 30th. So
yeah, this whole week has been, or last week was already getting kind of crazy.
It's crazy. So I couldn't do that now with kids. So I decided I wanted to go back into real estate. I just didn't know what aspect or in what fields, and what seemed fitting was realtor, because I can make my own schedule still, and I'm familiar with all the terminology, and I just felt comfortable. So I decided to take my license late 2017.
Okay.
So I started practicing in January 2018. And as a new realtor, like you kind of just have to take whatever business you get at first. But I wanted to focus. I did want to focus in in Santa Ana, because it's where I live, local in Orange County. But
so what makes Santa Ana like so special? Great? I mean, because I feel like you're really involved in the community here. You do all your events here. It seems like most of the real estate you sell is here also. So tell us about Santa Ana. Like, what makes it so great here?
Well, I personally love Santa Ana. I think a lot of people are intrigued with it because it's so diverse and it offers so much. You can literally, not only downtown, but surrounding areas, you're local to a lot of things. We have like South Coast, which is, down the street. We're close to Disneyland. It's just centrally located.
Right.
And then there's just so much new stuff, construction happening here downtown.
Yeah, and where we are right now, like, it's pretty lively, pretty active around here. Like, I know we're gonna go shoot some stuff after this, but I mean, downtown Santa Ana's pretty busy.
Yeah, it's a very vibrant and like city and community. There's just a lot of things happening. We have art walks, we have different events happening all the time. A lot of really cool restaurants. And bars and nightlife and all that stuff. So it's just a really diverse.
It's a fun area for sure.
It's a fun.
Let's talk about like rates and interest and stuff right now, because I know there's a lot of people like that are thinking about buying, but they don't know if they should because they're like, oh, the rates are going to go up, but then the prices are so high.
Yeah.
So what's your take on that? I mean, I know, like I just read today, like rates have gone up for 5 weeks straight now, and they're currently around 3.5%, which is like a big jump from last year. So what do you suggest? Is it a good time to buy? Should people wait for the prices to kind of stabilize a little bit, or should they buy now before the rates keep going up?
I know it's going to sound very realtor-ish, but I always tell people, buy whatever you can when you can. Okay. Because at the end of the day, I mean, we have to live somewhere.
Right.
Rents don't go down. At least I've never heard of rent going down.
They're going crazy now.
So at the end of the day, you have to live somewhere. Are you going to be paying somebody else's mortgage, or do you want to just pay your own?
Right.
So I always suggest that buy whatever you can when you can.
Where do you see like the prices and interest rates and all that going this year?
Well, the rates, it's funny because in doing mortgage, I remember what those rates were, like in the 6s and 7s back in the 2000s.
Right.
But just doing my research, it's like, a lot of people feel like, oh, I might not be able to buy something, or my parents bought because it was so much cheaper. Well, a lot of people don't realize rates were like in double digits. Yeah. I think in 81, it was like 16 point something. So in reality, we still have low rates compared, to many years ago.
Have you heard of I think it's called the 10% rule? They say, so every 1% of interest that goes up, prices go down 10%, or any 1% of interest that goes down, the prices go up 10%. So, and I see it to be pretty true, because rates will continue to go down and prices just keep skyrocketing. So
I think there'll be a correction. I mean, eventually there's going to be a correction, but we have to keep in mind that where we live, something that's happening nationwide is different. We are in California, right, and then we're in Orange County.
Yeah.
So, it's just a different market.
Right. For like a lot of first-time buyers, it's getting harder and harder for them to buy like the first place, especially like here in Orange County, right? I mean, a lot of millennials, like they got out of college, they have these good jobs, and they might be making $100,000 more, whatever it is, right? But it's still like, doesn't mean they can go out and afford a $800,000 or $900,000 house, which is about the average here in Orange County anyways. So like, what do you suggest someone like that does? Or to other realtors that may be watching this, like, how do you get other people to want to buy into the market when they really can't even afford it?
Well, I say get creative. And that's how how I purchased my first home, because of the background I had and how important I realized that it was to become a homeowner. You have to get creative. Explore, think outside the box. Don't think that your first home has to be your forever home, because that's, it doesn't have to check up all the boxes right off the bat. Consider a condo, consider a multi-unit, because then you can offset with the rent you're going to be getting. So that's what I suggest. Just get creative. Don't think there's only one way to become a homeowner, and get educated on first-time home buyer programs. Some cities offer, different kind of programs, but specifically in Santa Ana, we have a program for first-time home buyers that if you live or work in the city of Santa Ana for a minimum of 32 hours, you are able to qualify from anywhere from $80,000 to $120,000 for a first-time home buyer. So.
For a down payment?
Down payment.
Wow. I think I had someone look into that, but there's like a cap, right, on how much you can make.
You cannot make less than a certain amount or more than. So you have to fall within a median income. And in the application, it tells you like per household what those limits are. But yeah, there's definitely ways. There's ways to get creative with that.
Tell me about, I'm gonna kind of change subjects a little bit now. Tell me about Amigas Social Club. How did that come to be? Tell us what it is. I know you guys meet and have events quite often, so tell us a little bit about that.
So what's interesting is that real estate is what led to Amiga Social Club. Like I said, in 2018, I was starting back in real estate, and even though I did have the background and I had the connections and I had a lot of good things, I still needed a network. I still needed to go out and find new clients and meet people. And traditional networking events just were not my cup of tea, I guess.
Realtor association?
That or the Chamber of Commerce. Like, those are great to meet colleagues, but how am I going to get a client from there? In reality, they're not going to get much. So I started thinking of ways to network in a way that was fun and, that was comfortable. And throughout the years, I've met a lot of women. I've met a lot of women in business specifically. And also I have a lot of girlfriends, and I decided that instead of marketing the traditional way, which is farming or flyers or all that stuff.
Then you're competing with like thousands of other agents.
Yes. And I've always said that, like, it's just not what I wanted to do, because the first thing I do when I get all this junk mail is like toss it. So I was like, I'm not gonna do that. So I decided to save my marketing budget for about a year, and I was gonna do one annual brunch that was gonna just connect women that I know and women in business. That was it. So it was gonna be an annual thing.
They were like all business owners.
Yeah, but different businesses and from different backgrounds, and it didn't have to be anything specific. I did that in May 2019. Okay. I invited about 100 women, and 75 women showed up.
Wow. Yeah. That's a good turnout.
Yeah, it was a great turnout. So what ended up happening was that we posted it, people were sharing, and what I thought, okay, well next, I'm gonna do it next year. Right. Well, within a month, or that same week, I started getting a lot of, when's the next one? Like, we have to do this. How do I become a member? So I was like, whoa, I just like the sound of Amiga Social Club, but it's like, oh crap, like now I actually have to become.
Yeah, now you have to upkeep it.
Yeah, so a lot of leaders, specifically here in downtown Santa Ana, reached out to me and were like, you have to do this monthly. Like, we would love to help you. And I had restaurant owners, Delilah from Alta Baja. She was so gracious, and she was like, you can have workshops here. So just the outpouring of support was crazy. So we ended up having, and I say we because I have a team now, but the people that originally helped me throw that first event became the team. So yeah, that's kind of what happened. So
that's awesome.
So that's my networking.
And where do you see this going? I mean, because it seems like it's grown pretty fast.
Oh my God, yeah.
What's the next step for that? Like, where do you take it from here?
I think we're taking it wherever, like, the community. I've always let kind of the community lead the way of it. So right now we have monthly workshops, different topics, whether it's community, wellness, or business. We have special events like the one we had yesterday. And then we also have the big annual celebration. And the annual is, I think, what a lot of people look forward to. We'll have vendors, and we just had one in this summer. It was amazing. It was just a lot of women vendors, and it's open to everyone to come and support, even men, so men can support. Yeah, it's a huge party. Yeah, it was big. Yeah.
Very cool. And has that, how has that helped you, with the real estate business? Have you got business out of it? Really?
A lot. Yeah.
On both sides, buyers, sellers, everything?
Because I do specialize in first-time home buyers. I feel because of our age, and I have a lot of friends that are just starting to look. I do service a lot of first-time home buyers. Okay. So I do, but yeah, I've gotten clients I buy and sell. So
nice. Yeah. That sounds cool, because you're doing what you like, you're having fun, and then you're getting business out of it too. So
So I consider myself a referral agent. I'm not out there.
You're not door knocking.
No, not what I want to do.
Which a lot of people, like, that's the way they think, like, that's the only way to do it. Like, I literally just came from a meeting last week where the realtors, like, they want to like invest more in real estate. In social media videos, doing stuff like this. But like their mentors are like, forget all that stuff. You just got to go knock on doors. That's the only way to do it. But they're on like a little more old school mentality, you know? So they were just like, no, just trust us. Let's try this out. Let's see how it goes. So now we're actually starting their podcast tomorrow. So I'm filming their first episode tomorrow. Yeah,
there's a lot of crossing of ways to do now, because a lot of the old school realtors are now stepping into things like this and getting on social media.
Right.
And they're letting go of the traditional.
Yeah, I mean, one of my clients, he like literally like 100% of his business is all like just Instagram videos, and he does like 160 transactions a year.
Wow.
But he like has a full-time like social media team. Like that's all they do all day long. He doesn't knock on any doors. He just makes like videos that go viral. Like they're like funny videos. He has costumes, everything. But like he learned, so it's like it's funny, but like it works for him. So if this thing is working for you, I mean, that's kind of like what, you know, maybe people should try to kind of come up with their own little thing to get business, not everything. Not that the other stuff doesn't work, right? But if you can find like a social club or have your niche with social media or videos or whatever, something to just stand out, I think, right?
Stick to what works. Like, yeah. I know I'm not a cold calling type of person. I know I'm not a door knocking. So I tried it. I just confirmed on.
I'm
not, so.
I guess that's like a good segue into like what I wanted to talk about next, which is here at Casa Bloom Studios. We're in downtown Santa Ana, and you guys just opened this, right? Are you officially open yet?
We're not officially open, so.
So you had an event here yesterday, right? So tell us a little bit about how this came to be, what your plans are, you know, once you guys do open. It's a nice space, as you can see, you know, in the background. So tell us a little bit about.
So this space came about, again, also because of real estate, the social club. We've always talked with my husband that we wanted to open a business or something here in Santa Ana, but specifically in downtown because there's so much around here going on. And then just doing the social club and the fact that it's mainly for women. It's just, I kept getting a lot of men that were in business or artists, and they're like, oh, like this would be really cool, like if we had it for men too, or whenever you guys allow men, like let us know. And it's only the annual.
Right.
So this downtown is full of artists. There's a lot of makers, artists, people that are freelancers. And unless you have a space, an office space, you're jumping from one coffee shop to the next. I mean, and after you're there for a few hours, it's kind of awkward, probably.
Yeah, they're like, this guy's spending the whole day here just to use our Wi-Fi. Yeah.
Coffee or something, you know? So I always drive. My kids go to school around here. So I always drove around, and you know, because I'm a realtor, I always like scope things out, and I'll look into the square footage and what it's going for. And most of the time, things were just too big.
Right.
Which completely out of budget.
Right.
And this place was boarded up. They didn't have a sign, nothing. So then I just kind of stalked the owner, right. Found their information, their number, called them, and then I started negotiating the space. So I wasn't planning for it to happen this year, but I just kind of literally.
The opportunity came knocking.
Came about, and the space was perfect. It's not too big, but it's not too small. And now we're going to be able to be open to everybody to use it as a workspace, or if they want to, you know, have an art gallery or a pop-up or whatever. It can be like multi-use.
So is it going to be similar to like WeWork? Like you pay like a monthly fee, yes. You can come in here and use it whenever you want?
So mainly during the week, Monday to Fridays, it's going to be like a WeWork space, a workspace, right. Free Wi-Fi, you know, water, coffee, all that good stuff. And then you get to be around other people. And what I see happening when I hang out with my friends here or when I have meetings is that you start bouncing off ideas and then things start coming up. So I can see this happening here because we're probably going to get a lot of people that are freelancers and artists and all that in here. So. And
then you said you can also like rent out the space like at nighttime or on the weekends if you want to do like training or workshops, stuff like that.
So Amiga Social Club is going to utilize it for workshops and things like that because right now we were using Alta Baja or any other Cervecito too, but for our workshops, it's perfect. So now anybody else that wants to host a workshop or a class or or a photo shoot.
Yeah, you even mentioned like yoga classes or whatever, like on the weekends and stuff. That'd be cool.
So it's available weekdays in the evenings and then weekends.
And then during the week, during the day, then you have to have a membership or what you could pay at one time.
Yeah, we're gonna offer monthly memberships or day passes.
Okay.
So whatever makes sense for you, I guess.
Very cool. How do you balance like all this stuff that you got going on, and then like being married, kids, and you have what 3 kids?
I have 3 kids.
So how do you balance all this that you got going on and your home life?
That's the number one question. I think I gave up on finding balance. I don't think there's like a true balance, which I was driving myself nuts at first, trying to like find balance. I wanted everything to be like perfectly balanced, and there isn't. Yeah. I think just sometimes motherhood's going to be a little bit, take over a little bit more. Sometimes real estate kind of takes a little bit more of my time, but there is no balance.
You make it work.
I just make it work. We all do. I mean, we kind of just figure it out.
A little bit of sacrifice, right? Yeah. Somewhere here and there. And then my last question is like, what's next? You got so much going on. I'm sure you got to have some plans for the next thing. Well,
for real estate, I want to stay 100% referral. I love it. I like helping my friends. I like when I meet new people, but that are referred to me. Mm-hmm. I want to start building more of our personal portfolio with my husband to, keep that growing. And then also, I'm looking into possibly starting to flip homes, but I'm very specific on the type. I would love to start doing historic homes only.
Okay. So. Here in Santa Ana, or
mainly I want to start here, but I'm open to wherever there's a nice historic home.
Very cool. Any other suggestions or tips for other realtors or other industry people, or even buyers or sellers that might be listening to this?
I would say stick to what makes sense for you and just stay authentic. Yeah. I think people see through you. Like if you're trying to do something that somebody else is doing just because it works for them, right, people are going to see right through that. Right. So just be authentic and be creative. Be creative. It can lead you to a social club or a studio. Right. Yeah.
Okay, good advice. Where can people reach you or get a hold of you if they want to work with you or talk to you about Amiga Social Club or rent the space here?
Okay, so you can either do Instagram. My Instagram is Loni_momboss. That's kind of my personal one. But if you want to reach out for real estate, I have Realtor Momboss. There's a theme going on there. Amiga Social Club is Amiga Social Club, and Casa Bloom is Casa Bloom Studios. And then my phone number, I don't know, should I give it out?
It's up to you if you want to.
I don't know if I'm going to give weird numbers out.
You don't have to give your phone number.
Just do Instagram. Just reach me out through Instagram. Who's going to watch this?
Louis going to be like, who's calling you?
No, not my phone number. So yeah, Instagram.
Okay, Instagram, there you go.
And then, amigasocialclub.com has a website.
Okay, and then you're soon going to have a website for here as well that we're working on.
It'll be CasaBloomStudios.com, I believe.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for the interview. A lot of good info, I think, came from it. So I think that's going to wrap up our first episode. So thank you, and we'll see you next time.